Hello again. Writing Sentences 3 is a new activity that will bring together all of the skills you have been learning. And you will be writing a story using those skills. A story all about what was seen in the gap in the fence. So, what have you been learning? Well, one of the recent things has been when to use a K and when to use a C when you hear the sound K. And then when to use CK. Or just ick if you hear it at the end of a word with more than one syllable. And all of this was in preparation for the fact that there is a different sound we say if the letter C is followed by E, I or Y. But along the way, we have learned some other spelling choices for one-tap words with a short vowel sound. Not just CK, but double S and double F. And there will be more choices to come. We have learned about vowel sounds. And here we can see the hand prompt for long vowel sounds. A, E, I, O and U. There's a song that goes with it that you might have sung in school, or you might have seen it in lesson 2 right at the beginning. But we've moved on from learning that spelling choice for the end of syllables. We've also been thinking about how we write those sounds if we hear them in the middle of a word. Sometimes, like double E for the sound E, it's at the end of a word too. But for A, we would have A consonant E, I consonant E for I, and O consonant E for the sound O. The most used spelling choices, and when we've introduced the letter U, there will be U consonant E as well. And on top of the most used, we have been introduced to using IGH as a spelling choice. There aren't a lot of words that use IGH, but the words that spelling is in are used a lot. We might have one of those words in our story. We also have been learning about suffixes and the doubling rule to make sure there are 2 letters after a short vowel sound. And we have more suffixes, not just suffix S, but suffix ed that can be said id, d, and t. Suffix es that sounds like is. And suffix ing. A lot more things to think about. And we've even introduced a new suffix rule. Drop the E, because we don't need 2 of them. Lots of topics you've covered, lots of new skills that you've acquired. So let's get started on our story. Let's just write A, gap in to begin with. The title, a capital letter. And for the word gap, because it's an important word in our heading. And then fence. Another capital for that important word. A gap in the fence. And we've underlined it. Just like we've done for the other lessons, you can pause the video. You can ask somebody else to say the sentence to you as many times as you need to finish it. You can come back to me when you're ready and press play again. You work in a way that suits you. So our first sentence is, as he goes to science, Vincent spots 5 pence in a gap in the fence. Oh, quite a long sentence, but now we know what was in that gap. Let's start with as he goes. I've left a little space at the beginning for the start of a paragraph. As he goes. And go is one of the words where we had suffix es. The next words are to science. And because science is the name of a subject at school, that will also get a capital letter. To science. To an S and a C at the beginning, because scientists always double check. And the end of the word has ence, just like in fence. Vincent spots. Let's just write that bit. Vincent, dot the I and cross the T, spots. £5 in a gap. 5. A vowel consonant E spelling. 5 pence in a gap. And this time when we were writing it, we had a little g because it wasn't an important word in the title. And where was that gap? In the fence. Think about, do you need a capital letter or don't you for the word fence? In the fence. And we didn't that time because it wasn't an important word in the title. Then he spots 10 pence. And I'll tell you where in a minute. Then he spots. Then capital T, he spots. Let's carry on the next screen. 10 pence. There we go. Cross the T when you finish the word. Pence. Another word with nts at the end. And where was that 10 pence? Sitting on a thick stick. So we are practicing adding suffix ing and the k ending. Sitting on. Let's do that bit first. Sitting. Dot the I's and cross the T's. And did you remember to double it? So that the I in sitting is obviously I, because it's followed by 2 consonants. Next bit, a thick stick. A thick stick. And ick in both of those words needed I-C-K because they were both one tap words with a short vowel sound. Nice one, said Vincent. What will we need? Speech marks. Nice one. And there we have another soft C word. And did you remember the exclamation mark? Because of the way he said it. Nice one, said Vincent. And scent is the syllable where the s sound we can hear is written with the letter C. For the next bit of the story, we are going to be starting a new paragraph. So go in a little way and then everybody will know that the story has moved on a bit. At the end of an ACE test on space, and that isn't the end of the sentence, but it is the first phrase. And if it was an ACE test, do you think that maybe Vincent thought he'd done rather well? I think he must like space and thinking about rockets firing up. So let's start it. New paragraph. At the end. Of an ACE test. Of an ACE test. Cross the letter T's when we finish the word. On space. Then we're putting a comma because there is more to come. That's like our stop and take a breath space. Vincent goes at fast pace to hand in the 15 pence and get a snack. So, Vincent goes at a. Vincent, which has a spelling language. Vincent goes at a fast pace. Fast pace. Another word that rhymes with ace. To hand in. To hand in. Now, this time when we write 15 pence, we'll use the numbers. And instead of writing all of the word pence, we are just going to put the first letter and a full stop to show that we shortened it. The 15 pence. And that is how we would usually write money. We were writing the words earlier to practice writing those words, but this is what we would usually do. And get a snack. And get a snack. So I think he must have handed it in to the person who was selling the snacks. This is something he says. So at the start of this next paragraph, we hear what Vincent says. Someone might need this, he said. So what will we need? Well done. We'll need those speech marks. Someone. Now you might want to think of soam as your spelling language. And for one, it's the last bit of phone, and most people have one phone. That might be a link to help you remember. Someone might, and it is one of those words with an IGH spelling in the middle for the sound I. Need this. First we will put a comma, then the speech marks. He said. And the sentence finishes with a full stop when we've added who said it. Then he picked a spiced beef bap. Let's write then he picked first. Then he picked. And that was one of those words where suffix ed sounded like t. Then he picked a spiced beef bap. Spiced. How did you get on with that one? Adding suffix ed and the drop the e rule. Beef bap. And took his and took. We've got that sound in the middle. His. Now the next word, mini. The first syllable we can hear the sounds min, but the sound at the end is one of those words where we hear e, but we write an I. And that has a lot to do with the fact that Latin was used as a language. Mini, you might like to say mini. You might like to say mini as a spelling language. Mini. And the next word, picnic. He took his mini picnic to his mates. To his mates. How did you get on with writing picnic? Did you remember ick at the end of a word with more than one syllable is IC? Well done. We have covered a lot of skills. I think Vincent must have covered a lot of skills in his science test because he looks as if he was the only one that was really hungry. Let's type up our sentence, and this time I've used the Bradley hand font. And you can see why it looks a little bit like writing when we're printing. A gap in the fence. As he goes to science, Vincent spots 5 pence in the gap in the fence. Then he sees 10 pence sitting on a thick stick. Nice one, said Vincent. At the end of an ace test on space, Vincent trotted at a fast pace to hand in the 15 pence and get a snack. Someone might need this, he said. Then he picked a spice beef bap and took his mini picnic to his mates. Well done. Now, did you notice that when I typed up this version of our story, I didn't say goes, I said trotted, so that we got an idea of how fast he was. Trotted. And it needed that doubling rule. So when you type up your written version of the story, think about how many things you would like to change. You don't have to. You might like to, and then see how many people you can read your story to. Or ask them to write the sentences, or some of them. Maybe the ones you've changed, because they won't know what's coming. Thank you for joining me.